up, everybody, and welcome into the H&M Trucking Podcast, episode 24. I am your host, Marcus. Thank you so much for being here today. As always, we're going to remind you, remember to share the show with your friends, like it, subscribe to it, comment in the comment sections. We're always posting promos for these things. I read all of them, and it just really helps us out if you guys interact with what we put out there. What's going on today? Well, last week, we had an episode about road rage. Everybody knows that. We all listened to it, and we all reflected on the times that we've been very angry out there on the highway. Makes sense. Happens a lot. A lot of idiots in the soup. Can't lie. So, what's the best episode to have follow a road rage episode? I was actually pulling for like a jiu-jitsu training episode or perhaps hand-to-hand combat. That got vetoed before it ever got out of the starting blocks, and rightfully so. How about defensive driving? Has it been a while since you've heard that term? It would make sense if it was, because defensive driving, I feel like, is something that they tell high schoolers when they're getting their driver's license or their learner's permit. You have to drive defensively, kids. You got to be careful. It's true, but we all need to drive defensively. We all need to be careful. If you're not up on it, maybe you're asking yourself right now, well, what even is defensive driving? Well, I went to our good friend Wikipedia to just get kind of a paragraph's worth of an explanation so that I don't mash it all up and throw it out to you in some unorganized mess. According to Wikipedia, defensive driving describes the practice of anticipating dangerous situations despite adverse conditions or mistakes of other drivers when operating a motor vehicle. So what does that mean? Well, looking ahead, I've had some drivers on this podcast tell me one of the best things that they can do to protect themselves and their truck and their load when they're out on the road, not to mention other people, is to be scanning 3, maybe 4 vehicles in front of them, looking for brake lights, not just of the vehicle that you're following, but of the vehicles that they are following. Just anticipation is a big part of defensive driving. Wikipedia even tells me that buckling your seatbelt and fastening your cargo in is part of defensive driving. Looking left, then right, then left again. All of these things that you've heard are defensive driving. They all kind of get lumped into this one big, wide brush stroke of things that you should do that will help make the road a safer place. Keeping a 2 or 3 second gap, which for truck drivers is obviously quite a bit larger. I once got pulled over as a young Marcus for following too closely, and the officer that wrote me that pretty sizable ticket told me that there should be, for every 10 miles an hour, there should be a 1 second gap between me and the car in front of me. I argued with that a lot when I was a kid, and to be honest with you, if I was still driving a little tiny Ford Focus hatchback, I'd probably still argue with it. It's a light car, it's front-wheel drive, it stops fast, maybe not 5 seconds when I'm doing 50 miles an hour. 5 seconds is a long way. General rule of thumb is like 2 to 3 seconds maybe. We're going to talk about all of this stuff. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a surface level explanation on what defensive driving is, because we're going to talk to Dean Edmunds, safety manager. He's going to come in and talk to us about defensive driving. We're going to get a driver on here. We've got a special surprise for said driver coming up on the podcast, and I'm very excited about that. And we're also going to talk to Eve and let her lay down the law. It's the H&M Trucking Podcast, episode 24. We're out of the gate and rolling on.
From Omaha, Nebraska, to whatever lane you're driving, this is the H&M Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
Time for another driver profile here on the H&M Trucking Podcast. And when we do this podcast, one thing that we want to do is always be brutally honest, not only with ourselves, but with you, the listener. So I'm going to tell you that we totally mucked up this interview the first time through. I had this grand surprise because Driver Chris Twogood, who joins me right now. Hey, how you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. How are you, Marcus?
I'm awesome.
Other than screwing shit up on a daily basis.
Yep. I'm awesome, except for screwing shit up on a daily basis. the last time I had Chris on, he and I talked a little bit about how I kind of made him sound like a fanboy for Maria, and he was a little bit upset about that, but we buried the hatchet. Everything's good. So I had Maria from Unplugged OTR, one of my co-hosts from the first 18 episodes that we have on our feed, come on, and it was supposed to be a surprise. But I'm not good enough at technology, and Chris couldn't hear Maria, so we did the whole surprise. Chris actually guessed that Maria was going to be the surprise, which was even better, and I still found a way to screw this up. So everybody also please welcome Maria to the podcast. And Chris, Maria, you guys can say hi to each other and get your pleasantries out of the way now, since I just frantically shut you both up before we started recording.
Hi, well, how the hell are you?
I'm wonderful. It's so good to hear your voice.
It's good to hear you too. The only person we're missing now is Caleb.
That's right. Where the heck?
You know what? Come on. Get the old crew back together. Damn it, Marcus.
I know.
Do it right.
Well, hey, you understand that would have cost us another 30 minutes of me trying to figure this shit out, right? Like we wouldn't get to this till after lunch.
You've got the Gen Zer right there. He could figure it out.
That's true. And you know what? Caleb has been kind of an international traveling man. He's been to Europe twice in like the last 3 or 4 months. So he's kind of hard to track down, but now I have a task for next time, and I know how I can bring him on with you, and you guys can hear each other. So that I will do that for your 4th appearance, Chris. And something else that we talked about.
You're getting fucking desperate, dude.
Yes, we are.
4 appearances? Ugh. I don't know if I can swing that one. Start putting me on the payroll.
You're tied right now with Joe Barganetti for the most appearances on the H&M Trucking podcast, and we thank you greatly for that because it's always a blast when we have you in. I gotta say, Maria, it's also wonderful to have you on. We have not done this for a long time. I'm going to ask you this question again since I already asked it. God, I'm so mad at myself. Do you miss us, Maria?
I do. I miss you guys so much. I listen every week. I wish I was here every week with you, but I'm so happy that you guys get to talk to drivers every day, especially Mr. Twogood.
Well,
now you're making my head big.
Well, I told you that it's not hard to be a fanboy for Maria, and the reason is because she makes everybody feel really good about themselves. I knew that for 18 episodes. Maria made me feel like I was actually good at my job. It took 24 episodes of this podcast to realize I actually don't know what I'm doing. So,
whatever.
Thank you.
I mean, Marcus, you're not a horrible person. I mean, you did turn her on to Tillamook ice cream.
Yep, that's very true. And everybody else in the company currently, there's I average probably 1 or 2 people every couple of weeks reaching out to me and saying, thank you and also F you for bringing up Tillamook ice cream because I've eaten 4 gallons of it in the past week. Hey, I'm just out here doing the Lord's work, okay?
Oh, my mom brought Tillamook home from an Oregon trip one time, and now that's all she. If it's the store, that's what she buys. She will not buy. She goes. Where does she say? She goes. Friends don't let friends eat crap ice cream.
Amen. You know what? Yep. You're not getting a 4th appearance. We're bringing your mom on.
Right.
She probably would.
She sounds like a smart woman.
Yes, she does.
Very smart woman,
Well, that's a good time for me to ask, Maria, have you found like a favorite flavor yet? Is there a Tillamook ice cream flavor from here in the great state of Oregon that you just can't put down?
You know what? Honestly, it's the vanilla, and it's so creamy, it's so rich, and you can mix in anything you want. So I typically will mix in candy, like M&Ms or something like that. But the creaminess, the richness of the vanilla is just so good.
Chris, do you have a favorite flavor, or do you get to experience it that often?
I don't get to experience it that often. You know what? I'm actually heading towards Omaha right now. I might have to stop this weekend or go to the store and pick me up a gallon or a half gallon and just pig out on Tillamook ice cream this weekend.
Don't get a half gallon. Do it. If you're going to do it right. Much like you told me about, if you're going to screw it up, screw it all the way up.
But you got to remember, I got a small freezer. I can only fit about a half gallon in the freezer.
Which means you need to eat the other half gallon right when you walk out of the store. These are solvable problems, Chris.
Okay. I'm gonna give my doctor your number next time when he sees my blood sugar, and he's gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing?" It's Marcus. It's all Marcus' fault.
Hell with it. We'll have him on too. Your mom, your doctor.
This is going to be the Chris Twogood podcast.
Yeah, no problem with that.
You know, like I said, put me on payroll. You know, I'll come on more than once.
Okay, we can pay you $1.309 an hour. It's not. Look, it's work that you do because you love it, Chris. That's what you have to understand with this.
We need to pay him an ice cream.
Ooh, good thinking. Then we can give that $1.309 to me.
That's right.
I got a question. I got a question because I don't get Tillamook that often. But one of my favorite ice creams is Moose Tracks. Does Tillamook have a Moose Tracks ice cream?
It's the best ice cream flavor ever, and they don't have that as far as I know. But Moose Tracks is also my favorite.
So one thing I would recommend, this is going to spin you off of the Moose Tracks a little bit, but it's okay because it's close. It's a special edition that they have out right now, and it's called Campfire Peanut Butter Cup S'mores. So it's marshmallow ice cream with a chocolate swirl, and then it's got little mini peanut butter cups in it. And it's stupid. You guys, I don't even know how to explain it other than it's stupid good.
Where do you buy this? Because they don't have that one at my grocery store, and I would be 10 gallons in by now.
My best bet for you would be somewhere west of the Rockies, Maria. So you might have a little bit of a road trip behind you from Indiana to get it. But if you can find it, buy all of it that you can. I'm
going to go visit Marcus. Are you in, Chris?
I'm here. Hey, you know what? You can make it to from Indianapolis to Omaha. It's about an 8.5 hour trip. Pick my ass up. We could be in Oregon by Sunday afternoon.
Hang on a second.
You got it.
You're the professional driver, and you're going to make Maria drive your ass all the way across the country?
No. She's just got to make it to Omaha.
Okay.
She's got to make it to me, and then from there we could just team drive it.
Okay.
It's only 1,800. Yeah, about 1,800 miles, 2,000 miles. It's not a big deal.
We can do it. It's nothing.
Maria, that makes me want to know, what's the longest road trip you've ever been on, mileage-wise?
I have no idea. I think Florida probably would have been my longest. We were in the car for like 17 hours. I have no idea how many miles it was, but it was a good long haul for sure. But nothing like what Chris does. But if I'm going to team drive with him, I better start driving now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I assume you're taking the Volvo. I don't know what else you would take. Chris, you got to be at home, right?
No, we take the Murano.
Oh, good thinking.
The Murano. I could go faster in the Murano.
Yeah, nobody's watching, right?
It's 80 miles. It's pretty much 75, 80 mile an hour across Wyoming and Nebraska, and 80 mile an hour across Utah and Idaho. Well, then you got that state of, that state that we have to go through, and that's about 75. So, I mean, yeah, we should put it down.
We can do it.
There's no reason not to at this point, you guys. You have not. Hey,
Marina, I'm in. I'm in.
Well,
we would have too much fun.
Come over for a football game because football season is right around the corner, and I do it big for football season. I'll cook for you. You can bring your own Tillamook, or you can just have some of mine. There's plenty in the freezer always. You know what I started doing? And this is, if my doctor's listening, we're going to have another doctor on anyway, but I started buying these huge cookies that they just make right there at the bakery at my grocery store, and I started making like pre-made ice cream sandwiches with Tillamook ice cream.
Oh, man.
And
that sounds damn delicious.
I mean, it's stupid, though, because they're like 2 hockey pucks thick, and then I'm just eating however many I decide to eat that day. One day I had 3, and I woke up the next day, and I felt like I'd been hit by a truck, and I couldn't figure out why for like half the day. Couldn't be because I had 1,800 calories worth of ice cream and cookies.
I can already see my arteries clogging.
You know what? I can't say anything. I had a 24-ounce prime rib the other night.
Ooh.
Whoa.
It honestly, it looked like, you remember that movie, The Great Outdoors, with Dan Aykroyd and John Candy?
The big 96er.
Yep. They put that thing in front of me, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, wow.
Did you get through it?
Oh, yeah, I got through it.
How do you like your steak cooked?
Medium rare.
The only way.
There's no other way.
No, there's no other way. Yeah. I always harken back to that scene from King of the Hill when Hank is teaching Bobby how to grill a steak. And he says, these are perfect, medium rare. Bobby says, what do we do if somebody wants their steak well done? And Hank says, we ask them politely yet firmly to leave. And that's exactly what it is. My sister used to be a well-done steak person, and I couldn't fathom it as a kid. Why are you ruining this steak? I've referenced it already once. If you want a hockey puck, I have a hockey puck. You can eat that instead, and I'll have the steak.
Well, I got a story for you. I was sitting over at Texas Roadhouse one day, and I'm sitting there minding my own business, and this lady behind me, and I'm not one to call names, but this total bitch of a Karen giving this poor girl, probably 18, 19 years old. She's just reading her the right. I asked for well-done steak. I want well-done steak. This is not well-done. I don't know. I probably had enough of listening to her because she was complaining about everything. I probably turned. I said, "You want it well-done? Why don't you just order the fucking chicken?" Silent.
And I'm sure that went over well.
Yeah, I had to feel it to say the waitress, like, I looked back and she was like looking at the ticket book. Don't worry, I got you covered. She goes, "You don't have to do that." I said, "No, I got you covered." I said, I put my foot in my mouth because I just couldn't stand it anymore. She's like, "Are you sure?" I go, "Yeah, I got you covered."
There you go.
But I was just like, so like, why do people have to be like that? You know, it's like, come on.
I'll never know. I'll never know.
Put your head out of your ass.
I mean, look, I worked in a restaurant, many restaurants, growing up as a young kid, as a college student. I've been prep cook. I've done the dishes. I've served the food. I've stayed off the line because I'm not that hardcore, to be honest with you. I don't think I can compete with those guys. But I will never understand people's instinct to complain about food automatically. Like, everybody knows those people in their life where you're like, I want to go out with these people and I want to have some food with them because I like them, but I know they're going to complain and I don't want to eat a loogie today. So I hope that they shut up. Maria, how do you feel about people complaining about food at a restaurant? Are you a complainer? You don't strike me as one that complains about anything, but.
No, I literally will eat things that I'm allergic to just to avoid causing an uproar because I'm not that person. I know how hard they work in restaurants and how much crap they take all the time. So I am definitely the person that just takes whatever is put in front of me.
And Chris, you're obviously not the complainer because you just put somebody in their place for complaining.
I've complained one time, but it was a legitimate complaint. I ordered pork chops and I cut into the pork chop and it was still very, very, very raw.
Yeah.
I just told the waitress and said, "Hey, just have the cook throw this on the grill for about 5 minutes on each side and it should be good." I said, but I pulled it back and I was like, "Yeah, that's not cooked."
Ew. Not like on that one.
Yeah, she goes, "Oh, okay." And even I was like, I'm not trying to complain. And she's like, "Oh no," she goes, he's good with that. I was like, "Hey, he better be."
Yeah, he better be because I didn't pay to get botulism at this Chili's. Thank you. But I mean,
it's actually a Petro.
Oh, okay. Well, either way. Listen, I'm glad to hear that you guys aren't the complainers. I didn't think that. I have way too much fun with you guys on this podcast to think that you were like that bitch of a Karen, as Chris so eloquently put it. Listen,
now, Caleb, on the other hand, I would think that he might be the one that's going to complain about food.
100%. I think Caleb will complain about food, but he does it in like a very polite and studious way. He sits down and he explains what's wrong with it, how to fix it, and then says thank you.
Excuse me, I ordered this chicken specifically out of a room that had never had ketchup or ranch in it, or beans, or broccoli, or any vegetable for that matter. Sorry, if you could just go out back and kill me a fresh chicken and then make sure that nobody touches it. Just bring it to me with the feathers on. I've brought a lighter and a Bunsen burner, and I'm going to cook this chicken myself at the table with no seasonings. Caleb, I'm so sorry that I just did that to you, but I've actually shared a couple of meals with Caleb since he's been off the podcast, and I will tell you right now, he might have a couple of alterations to make, but he did not complain. And he also, you know what? Caleb competed with me a little bit on the ice cream train, you guys. He took me to a place in Omaha that was voted by Yelp, America's best ice cream. And I will tell you, it was really damn good. It was no Tillamook, but it was really damn good. I can definitely put it second place So, for all the no ketchup and no ranch that Caleb's got, he's got a few secrets up his sleeve too, Maria.
Well, I'll have to credit him for that after the podcast. I'll have to give him a call and get some of that ice cream from him too.
I mean, as I said, I'm going to be in Omaha this weekend. Hook it up. Where's it at? I like ice cream.
I'll have to send you. I'll have to send you a text because I don't remember what it's called. I know that it was right down by the Creighton baseball stadium, or where they play the College World Series. But
okay, so probably downtown Omaha, or downtown Omaha.
Yeah, and it's kind of hidden in this big brick building down there. But if you search ice cream places around there on Yelp, I'm sure it'll come up. But I'll shoot you a text when we're done because you and I are bros. We've got each other's digits. I can reach out and touch you.
You know what? Business is business. But hey, $20 is $20.
Amen, brother.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
No
Maria,
apologies.
I apologize for the rude and any unacceptable behavior.
She set it up for you. I applaud.
Chris, have you had anything crazy go on out there on the road since the last time we talked, besides telling a woman off at a restaurant?
Oh, this was a couple of years ago. This was probably after I just started with H&M. So yeah, probably 2-3 years ago. No, I was laughing because the other day I was in Fargo, North Dakota, and I was parked in the same spot as I was at the last story I told you. I just started laughing.
Oh, I see. But it's been pretty tame out there on the road for you. Nothing crazy to report.
No, not really. I've been just cruising. I don't get myself worked up.
It was kind of one of the reasons I didn't bring you on the road rage episode, is you didn't strike me as the type of driver that really struggles with road rage at all. Today's podcast, we're talking about defensive driving, which is supposed to be kind of a follow-up to the road rage episode. Tell me a little bit, just so I can actually write time down on my time card, that I actually worked today and didn't just have a great fun time with you and Maria. What's a way that you kind of protect yourself out there on the road and drive defensively? Are you looking ahead? Are you constantly scanning your mirrors? Like, what are some of those things that you put into practice just to make yourself feel safe and secure when you're out there driving?
No, I actually with the Volvos, you have a forward monitoring system, and a lot of times I'll have the cruise control set at 70, but I'll have my foot on the throttle. So what's nice is if you're coming up to a car or a truck, you have little orange dashes, and it shows you what speed the car is going. So if it's going like 65, I can start finding it out so I can merge lanes. And I don't like riding people's asses, so I'll get out about 150 feet before I have to start. And as long as I'm doing the speed limit, whoever's behind me, I don't give a shit. They can do their thing. I'm going to do my thing. And the other thing is when cars flash you, that doesn't mean anything. That just means that I'm clear of their bumper, but my job to find a comfortable spot to get over.
Sure.
I'm not going to take your hood off. I'm not going to, I'm not going to do something stupid. The other thing, a lot of people don't realize is, and this is one of my big pet peeves. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, but this is kind of a defensive driving maneuver that people don't look at. Say you're in the left-hand lane passing, and you get past the guy flashes you over, and you're still just trying to give him a little extra distance. You turn your blinker on, you start to merge over, the guy behind you takes half the breakdown lane and starts coming up your left side before you're fully into the lane.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of my biggest pet peeves, because I've had it happen to where something happens and you have to start merging over. You have to pretty much take over that lane again.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had that happen last week where I was merging back over. I came around a little bit of a bend, and there's a car getting on the interstate. I had to grab the left lane again, and a pickup truck had to slam on their brakes because they didn't want to get hit. And so, that's why when it comes to defensive driving, that's one of my biggest pet peeves that other cars do, or even other big trucks do. You're sitting there. It's like, just have a little patience.
Well, and stay within the lane of travel. Like, isn't that, driver's license 101? Like, hey, these lines are on the road for a reason. Try not to drive outside of them, you idiot.
Well, come on, common sense ain't that common anymore. But no, I mean, as far as defensive, I mean, I sometimes get a little road ragey, but not to the fact. I think who was it? I was just listening to the podcast on a couple hours ago. The last guest on there, and he goes, I yell at I yell at curse at the windshield so nobody could hear me.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I am. If I'm a lot of times it comes out of, God, what the fuck are you doing? That's usually what comes out of my mouth.
I get it.
But as far as jumping in and out of lanes or trying to get on somebody's butt, to pass them, I'm not going to do that. A lot of times, if there's a lot of traffic out and people are being stupid, I'll just set the cruise at 65 and just go.
Just roll.
And if they want to go around me, they want to go around me. If they don't, then hey, sit back and relax.
Yeah. It's a good thought, man. It's a good thought. And I love the fact that those Volvos have the forward detection technology on it. I can only imagine if it was me driving, I would find a way to screw that technology up too and cause a massive accident. So I'm glad that you know how to use it. Maybe you can come teach me how to use my equipment here someday, and I'll be able to do these podcasts correctly. Maria, do you have any type of defensive driving? Are you a road rager? Like what goes on when you're behind the wheel?
I'm not much of a road rager, and when I am, it's a very Midwestern polite road rage. It's like, for Pete's sake, and then, I'm turning on
Holy jeepers.
Go around them. I don't know. I don't have a lot of road rage. I'm pretty patient. I'm the person that will sit behind the truck at 65 and relax and listen to a song. So, defensive driving for me is just paying attention to what's around me, being patient, taking my time. Nothing is worth rushing and losing my life or taking someone else's.
Yep. That's great advice. And Maria is also the patient type of person that will record 5 to 7 minutes of a podcast segment when Chris can't hear her and start all over again and still turn it into a fantastic segment. You guys both were up against the clock here. We've already gone far longer than what I had hoped for, so I can't thank you both enough. Maria, I'll start with you. We miss you greatly on this podcast, and we can't wait to have you back on again to check in, make sure everything's good, and talk about ice cream with you. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'll clear my schedule anytime.
Awesome. And anything you want to say to Chris before I see him off as well?
Of course. Chris, I'm your fangirl, so we can fangirl each other. This is going to be fun.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm looking for that road trip, See, instead of having to instead of going to see the Ducks and the Huskers play, because fuck the Huskers, we're going to go see Notre Dame and Oregon play.
Okay.
Oh, deal. Not far from me.
Go Irish.
Go Irish. Yeah. Well, no, go Ducks. But whatever you think, Chris. I mean, I got to say, thank you so much for being on the podcast, dude. I will see what I can do about a Stay Fresh cheese bag shirt. And I also feel like we should get a shirt that has Maria's picture on it that says fangirl for Chris to wear. Because, I mean, you guys, a year from now, I might be a T-shirt mogul. I don't know, but I can see it already taking shape. See, that's exactly the response I was expecting. Chris, thank you so much for your time. Be safe out there, please.
Anytime, Marcus, anytime. And I'll have to share, maybe off air, I'll have to share a road rage story with you. It's pretty funny.
That's probably the best place to do it, my friend. You guys both be good. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
All right, take it easy, Marcus.
It only seems necessary to have safety manager Dean Edmunds on when we're talking about defensive driving, because there's definitely a big safety element to it. Dean, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing great, and I am happy to be here.
Well, thanks. We're always happy to have you. Let me ask you this. From a safety perspective, Dean, how important is defensive driving amongst the fleet?
It's extremely important. When you look at crash statistics, you look at crash information, most of the time it's not the fault of our driver that's going out there and causing the accident. Most of the time it's our driver getting caught up in an accident. So, defensive driving is key, getting yourself away from those situations that can go bad.
What are some of the most important defensive driving techniques that drivers can employ to help protect themselves, protect the equipment, and protect those around them on the road?
Most important thing is watching the speed, watching fouling distance are key elements. Giving yourself, always looking for that opportunity to get out if something were to change or go bad. And do your best to anticipate other actions. Big issues with cars merging in and on the interstate. When drivers come in, sometimes they don't understand or they can't see that a driver can't get over. They can't see, what the driver sees. So they just think that the guy in the big truck will just either slam on the brakes or move over and let them in. And that's not the case. That's not a safe action for our driver to be doing.
Right. When I'm out on the road, one of the things that I find myself doing a lot is if I see somebody make an aggressive maneuver or somebody dart in and out of traffic or maybe go over on the shoulder to get around someone, all things that I see far too often, to be honest with you, I find myself keeping an eye on that driver a little bit more. And sometimes I think it almost might affect me in a negative way when I'm only paying attention to the guy that's driving like an ass. Do you feel like that's a good thing to do? Keep an eye on the dude that's kind of going crazy out there? Or should I just try my best to avoid really paying extended attention to him and still try to pay attention to everything going on?
Always keeping your eye on the big picture is the most important thing. Obviously, when you have some aggressive driving like that going on, that driver themselves may not necessarily directly cause you an issue, but maybe them darting or cutting across lanes, somebody in front of them, in front of you, but behind them might slam on their brakes, causing traffic backups and quick stops. So, you kind of keep a partial eye on them, but you got to keep an eye on the big picture.
For sure. That's kind of what I was getting to. I really do feel like sometimes the aggressive drivers take my attention off of the bigger picture and the things that I should really be paying attention to, because I guess I always assume the worst when I see someone driving like that, because it's always something that I see in my mind's eye. Like, they're going way too fast. Those tires aren't going to hold. Something's going to be out of whack with them. But you're right. You have to be aware of drivers reacting to those guys. It's like a layered kind of approach to defensive driving. It's like, watch the idiots, watch everybody respond to the idiots, and then watch everything that's going around or on around those people that are responding. And I don't envy drivers in having to do that, because we find not only on this podcast, but just through my own driving experience, that a lot of times people don't respect these big rigs out on the road. They're not as worried about putting those drivers in dangerous situations as they should be. I feel like maybe because a lot of people probably haven't been involved in accidents with semis, they don't understand the sheer size and weight and power that these trucks have.
I agree 100%. I think your general or your average motorist out there doesn't have a clue what it takes to safely slow down a big rig that when it's loaded. Obviously taker trucks and stuff like that have added issues when they have to do a quick stop or whatever, or a quick lane change. But you're right. The most average driver on the road doesn't know what it takes to maneuver a big rig down the road.
Now, Dean, last week we talked about road rage on the podcast, and it seemed like a good episode to follow up with, having a defensive driving episode after we talked about road rage. You strike me as a very calm individual. You and I have had a lot of conversations. They're always very laid back and relaxed. Are you a road rager when you're out there on the highway driving, or do you tend to keep it pretty calm?
I'm pretty calm. 10 years ago, Dean, not so much, but in the last 10 years since I've been more active in safety, taking some classes in regards to my concealed carry permit. I tend to look at things a little more responsibly, try to be a little more level-headed, and just try to be the guy I want to be, not the guy that I was 10 years ago.
For sure. It's the same thing with me, Dean. I was very honest in last week's episode in saying that it was when I got married and when I, got a couple of dogs, the dogs traveling with me a lot. Now, to a person, my wife would probably tell you that I still have some road rage issues from time to time, but it takes a lot more now because I'm always so focused on protecting them, protecting my cargo, and almost putting myself second. But at the same time, if I'm protecting them, I'm protecting myself. So I really try to keep that in the back of my mind. And, you know, it's more of kind of a microcosm of the way that I operate, you know, every day. And I find it real interesting that you say, like, as you've been more involved in safety, you've become a safer person, probably in general. Was that something that surprised you as you were learning about all of the aspects of safety in truck driving, that you started to, did you kind of have like a realization, like, man, I could be doing a lot better at this?
100%. You know, when you see what goes on in the world, you kind of start to reflect on your own behaviors and your own actions. A lot of time, a person's lifestyle or changes in a person's life affect their mannerisms. I can tell you that 24 years ago, I'd jump in a car and tear off down the road, never think twice about a seatbelt or anything like that. The day my son was born, I ran home from the hospital to pick some stuff up before I went back, and I started to wear my seatbelt that very day, and I've been wearing it consistently ever since. So, you know, just the addition to my family, having my own child, just flipped a switch in my head that I needed to wear my seatbelt now.
So how old is your child, or are your kids now? And have you gone through teaching them how to drive?
Yes. My son's 24. He is actually, as we speak, he is traveling from Pennsylvania, from the Willow Grove area to Pearland, Texas, for a job change. He is a helicopter pilot. So, he's gotten the safety mindset from me, you know, on how he needs to conduct himself in his job going forward. Then I also have a daughter who is going to be 21 in November. She has no interest in driving. She is quite happy with mom and dad giving her rides to where she needs to be, her friends, you know, those types of things.
It's great to hear that the safety kind of runs in the blood of the family now, especially with your son as a helicopter pilot, because I imagine that you just extrapolate all of the things that can go wrong infinitely when you're talking about flying a helicopter in relation to driving a car. I mean, they've got to have so much more on their mind, I imagine. Probably a good thing that you really kind of bred that into him.
Exactly. I mean, with the helicopter, you don't have a shoulder to pull off onto and to get out and walk around your vehicle to see what's going on. When your engine stops in the helicopter, you got your hands full immediately. So
yeah.
Big difference.
I'm sure. Well, we're glad to hear that he took some really good lessons from his dad. And Dean, we always appreciate the knowledge and the insight that you bring to this podcast. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great day out there in Omaha.
I will. Thank you very much.
All right. Take it easy, Dean.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Hey, real quick, while I'm thinking about it, don't forget to subscribe, like the podcast, share it with your friends. I'm going to say that a lot. You're used to hearing it by this point, but it's always good to get that laundry aired out a little bit in case I forget to say it later, which honestly this week wouldn't surprise me at all. You know, last week we talked about road rage a lot on the podcast. Learned that a lot of professional drivers have really good ways of keeping themselves calm and not having to deal with these urges that come up in some of us when we drive. And this week, since we're talking about defensive driving, I was poking around on the interwebs a little bit, and I found a course on smartdriveusa.org. Now, I didn't take the whole course because, to be honest with you, I just didn't want to, but I did poke through a little while. I spent some time with this, and I found something that really connects to our episode this week. They call these the 4 A's of defensive driving. Those are as follows: aggression, alcohol, accidents, and awareness. But smartdriveusa.org has changed these a little bit. 4 A's sounds catchy. There's no question about it. Everybody, if you're a poker player out there, you love having 4 A's in your hand. But a little bit more accurately would say 2 A's, aggression and alcohol, a pair of C's, which are collisions and crashes, and then 1 D, which stands for distractions. I thought this was really interesting. The term accident has become a very popularized thing to say. I think this probably stems, from insurance companies. See, the word accident doesn't imply blame. It was an accident. Nobody meant for it to happen. Look, nobody means to crash their car. The only time you mean to crash your car is like the last lap of the Daytona 500 and somebody's slowing up on the bottom lane. You're trying to get through. Give them a little bump, put them into the wall, get them loose, whatever you have to do. We don't do that on the interstate as normal four-wheelers and truck drivers, right? Accidents, it's kind of a misnomer. Let's face it, collision, crash, those carry a little bit more weight, and the difference really does matter because whether or not you mean to do something, chances are if you get into a collision or a crash, either you or one of the other drivers involved is directly at fault. You guys might share some fault. You know, there's a lot of crashes out there that the insurance companies will deem it's 50-50 when it comes to fault. So my insurance company will pay for my car and the other person's insurance company will pay for their repairs and everybody goes home happy. That's why we have insurance. But the pure and simple fact is a lot of factors can lead to why you might be at fault for a crash or a collision. And let's face it, you've got to determine who caused this thing in case there's any legal liability or in case somebody broke the law. That's where the alcohol thing comes in. It's also where the distraction comes in. Distracted driving is a giant problem out there. We have these amazing computers in our pockets that we like to call cell phones, but they're barely that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't answer like 1 out of every 4 calls that comes through. Maybe that's a bad way to put it. I might only answer 1 call of every 4 that comes through. So when I'm sitting here thinking about distracted driving, I try to always keep my phone, in its holder so that I'm not looking at it. I'm not touching it. I try to keep it in a place. Sometimes I'll even put it underneath my leg so that I can feel it vibrate if somebody sends me a text or something like that. But the point of keeping it under my leg is just, hey, you felt it vibrate. You need to check when you're stopped and it's safe. We all have Bluetooth. Everybody's phone is connected through the stereo now. So if a call comes through, you just answer it and talk hands-free, right? That's safe. But there's a lot of other distractions on the road. I ask drivers all the time on this podcast, where are you at and where are you going? That's because I'm very interested in knowing what the geography might look like when where said driver is at. That can be a distraction in and of itself. You're just sitting there gawking at the Columbia Gorge, or maybe you're driving by the Grand Canyon, you're crossing the Hoover Dam. These are beautiful landmarks that people want to see, but they can also be distracting. If you're goosenecking, as my dad used to call it, you might not see something that's in the road. You might hit it. You might have to swerve off the road, cause an accident in another way. One of the most important things we can do when we're thinking about defensive driving is just keeping our eyes moving, okay? Don't fixate on one thing and watch it. If you're doing that, that means that you're not paying attention to what's going on in front of you. And the other thing that you don't really want to do is fixate on the tailgate of the guy in front of you and just stare at that, right? You want to be looking a few cars ahead. I've had a lot of drivers tell me that. I look up to 5 or 6 cars ahead because it takes a long time to stop 80,000 pounds. So if you're not watching up ahead, you're only watching for the brake lights right in front of you, man, that could be a recipe for disaster. And I think us four-wheelers out there on the road can learn something from professional drivers. Look ahead. Even if you're in a small car, if you're back far enough from the person in front of you, you can see what's going on up ahead. And as I started driving a full-size pickup years ago, I really had to learn that lesson the hard way. Even though I'm not packing 80,000 pounds, a full-size pickup doesn't stop as fast as a little Ford Focus hatchback. So I had to start giving more room. Another part of defensive driving that comes into this discussion is the 3 to 4 second rule. Pick, a reflector on the side of the road, or a road sign, or a tree, anything that's fixed on the side of the road. The idea behind this rule is that you will give 3 to 4 seconds of space between when the person in front of you passes that landmark and you pass that landmark. You would be really surprised how often you try to do this 3 or 4 second rule and you're only 1 second or 2 seconds behind the person in front of you. You might feel like you have enough room to stop, but you might not. You don't know what's going to happen up ahead. Yeah, if we have room to slow down or lock the brakes up, whatever the case may be, you're not going to just cut. The person in front of you isn't normally just going to come to an abrupt stop, but it could happen. What happens if they drive into the back of an 18-wheeler? Well, I hate to tell you, but if that 18-wheeler stopped, that car acts more like a bug hitting the windshield than it does any type of force. It's not going to move 80,000 pounds, which means it is going to stop immediately. And if you don't have some time between you and the car in front of you, I don't know what to tell you. It's bad news bears for you. So listen, I don't feel like I'm the authority on this stuff. I want you drivers to understand that I'm trying to take these lessons that I learned from the drivers and the driver profiles and kind of apply them to my own life, and also propagate these lessons to other drivers that might be listening to the podcast so that you know what other professional drivers do to try to keep themselves safe on the road. They're always looking ahead. The eyes are always moving. They're checking mirrors. They're aware of their surroundings. And, you know, you have to be aware of the other drivers on the road, which sucks because those other drivers on the road, more times than not, aren't good drivers, especially if they're not giving big rigs the respect that they deserve. So, as a friendly reminder here in this sort of mandatory fun with Marcus segment, but more like mandatory education with Marcus segment, just remember, we all got to share that road out there, and everybody has one goal. That's to get to wherever you're going safely. That's professional drivers, four-wheelers, everybody's goal is to get there safely. And if we remember some of these simple things, just take a little bit more time out there, and if the road rage episode taught us anything, just breathe and maybe flip somebody off out the window. Let's get to the next interview.
It's time to lay down the law with Eve.
One of my favorite parts of the H&M Trucking podcast is here. We get her, well, actually, we had her on once here just a couple weeks ago, but not for the real thing. Please welcome for the real thing, Eve Essary. Thanks for joining us today, Eve.
Hi, Marcus.
Always love it when you're here, and we've got a lot to get to today, so let's just go ahead and jump right into your announcements if you have any for us.
Absolutely. So we have some pretty big anniversaries coming up, and they're actually all within the office staff here. So Patty Roop, who is our controller, 16 years in September. Cindy Murins, who is our IT project solutions person, 16 years. And then Carrie Brown, also in accounting, 16 years. So those are kind of the big anniversaries that we have this month. And then, you know, September is coming up, and I know there's somebody that has a birthday in September. Marcus?
Oh, yeah, that is right. I try to forget it now. Ever since I passed 35, Eve, I try to put it out of my mind and celebrate, you know, football season and Labor Day and things that actually matter. But thank you so much. My birthday is coming up soon.
Yeah, so is mine.
Oh, really? Are you a September baby as well?
I am a September baby.
That's awesome.
Well.
What day?
September 2nd.
That's right. We had this conversation a while back, I remember.
See, I remembered.
And I didn't.
And you didn't. Okay, so you didn't remember my birthday. You and my husband have something in common.
Oh, no. I imagine. Okay, good. I was going to say, he probably gets in a lot more trouble for it than I do.
No, he does remember. So I always say my birthday is right around Labor Day because my mom took it literally.
Yeah.
Like, it was Labor Day.
Me too. Me too. And I actually, believe it or not, I share a birthday with my mom's mom. So my grandma, which was always really cool.
I share a birthday with my grandpa, my mom's dad.
Eve, we are kindred spirits. We were meant to be on this podcast together.
It was meant to be.
Well, you know, it was always cool, and I'm sure this happened to you too when you were a child. That birthday, the sharing a birthday with the grandparent basically was like a double birthday because they would want to blow it out once, you know, your family blows it out for you, but then the next time you see grandma or grandpa, then they blow it out for you again because they feel like they missed out. So.
Well, actually, my grandpa and I have a very special tradition. He's actually turning 90 this year. And so because we have the same birthday, ever since my very first birthday, we go out to dinner, the two of us, for our birthday. And we awesome. Spend our day together. So he took me out for dinner from 1 to about 23 when I, got my life together. And then from then on, now I take him out and I buy dinner. So he got the first 23 years and I got the next, 60. Seems like a good trade. But this year's his 90th birthday, so we're going to throw a big party for him with all the family and all that on our birthday because it's a Saturday, and get all the family together. So it'll be a good time. So I'll get a big party.
How cool. Well, and you probably get a 3-day weekend too, because that's Labor Day weekend, right?
Do.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's great. Well, you know what I'll be doing, I think, on Labor Day weekend is attending my first Oregon football game of the year.
Who?
And the Oregon Ducks, it's a waterfowl that resides up here in the Pacific Northwest. We play some football from time to time.
Yeah.
Actually, we just joined your conference, Eve. We're over there. We're going to be in Nebraska Cornhusker territory next year.
I actually have heard that. So I have a joke for you, Marcus. Are you ready?
No, I'm not ready, but yes, please go ahead.
Okay. If you have a car containing an Oregon Duck wide receiver, an Oregon Duck linebacker, and an Oregon Duck defensive back, who's driving the car?
I don't know.
The cop.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, going back in Oregon's history, we had a very famous quote come out of a football player. They were pulled over on I-5 by a state cop. The state cop said, I smell marijuana in the car. Do you have marijuana in the car? And the famous line was, no, officer, we smoked it all. And I was doing local radio at the time, and I don't know that we've ever gotten so much mileage out of a quote that was just as in passing as that one. But Cliff Harris.
Radio gold.
Yeah, Cliff Harris was his name. You can look it up. It was there, but this is why I'm so excited about the Ducks joining the Big Ten, and I won't make this a football podcast, even though it's the hardest thing in the world for me not to do, but we're going to get to trade punches on this going forward for eternity, as far as I know, and I'm really excited about that.
Right, as long as we're trading the punches and you're not just beating up on us,
Well, we'll try our best.
We'll see. We've not been our best in the last few years.
Did you hear what I did to James last week?
I heard it. Yeah, it was so funny. I died.
Yeah, I didn't think he thought it was that funny, but I was really enjoying myself. So that's my favorite part of college football is only about 50% of people are going to be happy at any given time, and as long as it's me, I'm okay with that. So, I wanted to call back to last week's episode actually anyway, but actually the topic that was at hand was road rage. And you don't strike me as a road rager, Eve, but I've said that to pretty much everybody that's come on. So just in a nod, since we didn't have you on last week, can you talk to me a little bit about your habits as a driver? Are you an angry driver? Do you tell people they're number one with your middle finger, or do you kind of keep to yourself?
I kind of keep to myself, but I have about a 45-minute drive into work and a 45-minute drive home every afternoon. And so I don't know if you're familiar with Sherry, our recruiter. Uh-huh. So Sherry Vogler, she and I rode together for the first 3 years that we worked here. So she's now since moved into Omaha because she's a trader like that. But no. So we would ride together. And so we found it fun to just come up with the most inventive words for people when they would cut us off or something like that. And then a lot of them were about, it's like a bad word and then a pastry, right? Because those go together. Bad word, waffle. Bad word, muffin. So those are the terms that we would use. And it just makes it nicer when you add a pastry afterwards.
So,
and you call them those names.
Can I just take a stab at it? And we can bleep this if you want to, since I'm on with HR, but I will spoil I'll spoil it and tell you that Chris Twogood dropped a couple of F-bombs. So we've already broken the ice for this episode. I feel like we do pretty good most days, but I'd be like, you fucking donut. Does that work?
And then it's nicer because it's a donut, and who doesn't like a donut?
Absolutely. I'm putting this into practice today.
It's the nice version.
I love it. That's why I can count on you, Eve, is you'll find a way to make yourself feel better, but still not be just like outwardly rude or flipping people off. Like that's the best way to have road rage if you absolutely have to have it.
Yeah. And then we would be laughing so hard at whatever concoction we've come up with that we would completely forgot that we were upset in the first place, and then all is good. We also used to always have random turn Tuesdays. So we're driving home, all of a sudden we're like, it's Tuesday, we have to take a random turn today on our way home.
How about that?
Yeah. So
and how long did that extend the trip? I'm sure there were some of those that went off the rails and you ended up out in the country somewhere, yeah?
There were a few, but that's fine. And our families were like, oh, it's Tuesday and they're not home yet. Okay. Random turn Tuesday.
So you have a random turn Tuesday. When my wife looks for me on a Tuesday, it's Taco Tuesday. It's kind of the same thing. I get it. You just don't know where you're going, but you end up there, right?
Right. Exactly. New scenery. It's just about the new scenery.
There you go. Well, today's topic is actually defensive driving, because I'm trying to be a good podcast host. And I feel like if we're going to talk about the negative side of driving, then we should talk about the positive side too. And defensive driving is very important, obviously, for our professional drivers out there, especially because it seems that even though they're the biggest on the road, nobody really pays attention to them. People just try to kind of move about as if they're not there. And I wanted to ask you, because you've had a few kids go past driving age, is there anything that you tried to teach them as a parent about defensive driving before they got their license and took off journeying on their own?
You know, it's interesting because kids, you can teach them and you can tell them all you want, but what they really learn is by watching you, right? All of the years in the car that they spent watching exactly what you're doing. And again, I now have 7 of my 8 kids that can drive a car. So we've taught a few. The girls are so much different than the boys in how they approach driving. Girls tend to be a little bit more timid, and you're like, okay, speed up, go with the flow of traffic, make sure that you're not being too tentative in your turns or somebody's going to rear end you, that kind of defense. But then when you have the boys, it's like, okay, slow down. You don't need to take that corner so fast. Use your turn signal before you go to merge. Like, you have to let it blink a couple of times, not just turn it on and go, So different kids, different things. But it's always an adventure. And we have one left. So and just the princess.
How many years until that one takes the road?
She's 10. And so in where we live, you can get a school permit at 14.
Okay.
So she's got 4 years before she can get her school permit. You have to have that school permit for 2 months. And then you can get an actual school permit and drive to school and back without an adult in the car.
Very cool.
So we have about 4 years before we're teaching that last one.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, I'm sure you've done well at this point in time. You seem to take a very common sense and level-headed approach with it. And I just hope that one day I get to be in the car when one of your daughters calls somebody an idiot apple fritter, because I'll know exactly where it came from.
That's where it came from. Absolutely.
Well, you sent me some news as well since the last time we spoke about the CVSA International Road Check results, and I want to touch on those real quick. It says here on May 16th through 18th, 59,429 commercial motor vehicles were inspected in Canada, Mexico, and the United States as part of the CVSA's 72-hour International Road Check Inspection and Enforcement Initiative. 81% of the commercial motor vehicles and 94.5% of commercial motor vehicle drivers inspected did not have any out-of-service violations and continued en route safely to complete their runs. That's a pretty high number. I have to imagine that CVSA is happy with that, but how did H&M fare? Did you have any drivers out there that got checked out? And do they score you guys as a company, or is it just each individual driver?
So we do have a CSA score, which those scores go into the CSA score. We did pretty well, but we did see an increase in a few violations, one of those being tires. The tread on the tires, low tires on the trailer. So again, those things, a little bit, they're preventative, just doing the pre-trips, doing your post-trips, making sure, walking around, checking those things. But also, you can pick up something on the road so easily.
Yep.
And then you have a leak. And You don't know. So not all of that is something that we can really prevent. But just making sure, worn steer tire is definitely something that we can take care of ahead of time. So we did see a few of those that have been kind of bad lately. Making sure your lights work. We had some of those. And then also the form and manner on their ELDs, knowing how to submit that ELD to the officer, and then also certifying your logs. So all super important and things that we kind of caught during those inspections.
Okay. And that's exactly why we do it. We want to get that word out so that all the rest of the drivers that are listening that maybe didn't get stopped or had a clean inspection can look for those things the next time they're out. Those pre-trip, post-trip inspections, ever so important as always. And thank you for sending that stuff along to me because that's part of my job and I totally ignored it last week. So I'm glad that you were coming on this week to actually do that with me. So,
you heard it here first. Marcus totally ignores my emails.
I try not to. I really do. Actually, you're one of the emails that when it comes through, I get excited because that normally means that we've got a podcast that week or something like that. And, that's the fun part of work. But, laid down on the job last week. It's one of those weeks for me again this week, Eve. It's just this interview's gone off without a hitch so far. But trust me, technical issues are piling up all over the place here, and I'm just fighting them off with every last breath that I have. But I think it's time to get to our favorite segment on this podcast. At least it's my favorite segment. And that's when we lay down the law with Eve. What have you got for us this week?
Okay. So we offer Aflac plans through H&M, and their payroll deduct, and they come out. But one of the things that I don't think we're doing a good job of company-wide is claiming the wellness benefits that go along with those Aflac plans. So if anybody out there has a cancer plan or an accident plan, there is a wellness benefit that all you have to do is have a cancer screening. So that could be anything from a colonoscopy to a mammogram to a chest x-ray or any of those cancer type screenings. And that's $75 per year that you could claim as an Aflac benefit. On the accident side of things, all you have to do is go to the doctor or a dentist once within that year and you get $60.
Wow.
It's super easy to claim. You can do it through an app. You can call your representative. You can call me. We can help you. Call Connie as well. And that's all you have to do. So we have company-wide. You can also go back and claim also, by the way. So in 2021, there is $1,410 in claims that are just sitting out there that people have not claimed. 2022, $1,260. Just money sitting out there waiting for people to claim it. 2023, we're at $1,170 still that can be claimed. So if you have had any of those screenings, have gone to the doctor, you have those plans, claim those benefits and get that money back in your pocket. You're paying for the plan, so let's make sure that you are taking advantage of it.
Absolutely. And if you don't, drivers that are out there listening right now, Eve, my middle initial is A, and you can just send the check right up here to the Pacific Northwest. I'll get it signed and notarized, and I'll get it dropped in the bank account. And you guys won't have to worry about it, okay? It's free money. They want to give it to somebody. If it's not going to be you, it might as well be me. That's the way I look at it. So
yeah, you are so generous, Marcus.
Thank you. I try every day, Eve. I really do. That's Laying Down the Law with Eve. Another great segment from you. I thank you so much for your time. We love having you here, and it's been really fun to see what this podcast has become, and a lot of it is due to the lady that you just listened to, Eve Essary, HR Manager for H&M Trucking. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Marcus. Have a good day.
You too. All right, it's time to put the brakes on another episode of the H&M Trucking Podcast. I want to send a big thank you to everyone that was involved today. Our good buddy Chris Twogood and Maria stopping by. Once again, I kind of apologize to everyone multiple times already, but I want to say sorry again for those technical difficulties. The Maria and Chris interview was awesome. It was so good to have them both on at the same time, but I totally blew the surprise. If you're wondering where the hell this Maria character comes from, scroll all the way to the very bottom of our podcast feed. those episodes that are called Unplugged OTR. There's 18 of them. Maria was a part of every single one. We do miss her greatly here on the H&M Trucking Podcast, so it's always good when she stops by for a visit. I want to say thank you to Eve for laying down the law. Her segments are always awesome. And who to thunk it? A couple of September birthdays. September 2nd, make sure you call Eve and tell her happy birthday, and make sure to send that one in there from me, too. You know, say happy birthday, Eve. And also Marcus says happy birthday, because I forgot that we had a birthday during pretty much the same week already, and we talked about it like not that long ago. So I feel bad about that, too. I didn't know this was going to be kind of a confessional outro here, but it is. Also want to say thank you to Safety Manager Dean Edmunds for stopping by, talking defensive driving with us. As for you, the listener, you're the most important one here. We appreciate you tuning in and interacting with all of our Facebook posts, subscribing, liking, sharing, telling your friends about the podcast. All this stuff is very important to us, and it helps me get to do what I love to do every single day, which is come in here and talk to you. Stay fresh, cheese bags. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the H&M Trucking Podcast. Please leave a review, subscribe, and connect with Marcus over at the H&M Trucking social media channels. And if you're considering a job at H&M, find us at hmtrucking.com. Until next time, stay safe and ahead of the curve drivers.